everybody. Welcome to Life Stories Podcast, People Helping People. I'm Shara Goswick, your host. Today on the podcast, I chat with Cheri Tillis, who works for Fathers and Families Support Center. It's based in St. Louis, Missouri, and it is an incredible nonprofit that helps fathers. They offer all kinds of support in classes and helping them get jobs and do the things that they need to do. Sadly, the dads in our country have not all been taught as they should have. They've not all had great role models and people to learn from, but this organization is taking the steps to make sure dads know what they need to do and how to do it, and they're helping them along the way. They also offer support for families, for moms, and for their children. It's a wonderful organization. I'm so glad I got to talk to Cheri and learn about it, and I'm glad that you're here.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great.
I loved hearing about this program, the Fathers and Family Support Center. How did you get involved in that? And tell me what they do.
Right. Before I worked here, I worked with AmeriCorps. I was an
Oh, okay.
AmeriCorps volunteer,
Yeah.
and also worked at the Division of Youth Services, which
Okay.
was like a juvenile detention that was run by the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
And it just so happened or it was a God wink, that I
Yeah.
was an assistant with a teacher, and I just called her Miss Betty.
Mhm.
And Miss Betty had this brother, Halbert Sullivan, who had
Yeah.
founded this organization, and apparently he was looking for someone, to be a case manager to take on some responsibilities. And it just came up that our day treatment was like an alternative school.
Yeah.
It was closing. And I said, well, can you give your brother my resume? Because, maybe I want to use my degree to do something different. And
Sure.
you know, she set me up with an interview and I went and talked with him. And it's so funny. I found my notes. You know how you write down the questions you want to ask. So I
Yeah.
found that notepad not long ago. And I didn't get the chance. I don't think I got the chance to ask one of those questions
Oh,
because
well.
he was telling me about the work, about the organization, and what, his vision was for the organization. And, it just took off from there. So I started as a case manager maybe 2 weeks before Thanksgiving in 2003. The rest has been
Wow.
history.
That's amazing. So tell me what this program does because I loved learning about it because we do have a fatherless society. I mean, that has caused, that's not all the problems, but that's caused a lot of problems. And so I think this is such a beautiful program. So tell me how it works.
Absolutely. Early on, it was really just focused on responsible fatherhood, and they worked through a curriculum that focused on the responsibility of fathers. It also provided information to fathers about their rights in the state of Missouri and what they could do to gain visitation and custody of children. But it grew so much over the years that now we actually provide five curriculum to
Wow.
fathers that enroll in what's called a family formation program. And within that program, we have 6 weeks where they meet Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m. the first week,
Wow.
and from 8 to 12 the second through the sixth week. The 8 to 12 is focused solely on the curriculum, and then they have lunch, of course, from 12 to 1. And then from 1 to 4, they have different workshops that they may have been assessed to need, such as career advancement or credentialing type trainings,
Right.
GED or high set study, or some of them actually work. And so they leave for the day to go to work or pick up children or, whatever they have to do, as a parent, moves
Yeah.
on. But the curriculum that we chose is all trauma informed. We pretty much welcome in anyone. We don't turn people away based on their past.
Yeah.
But it focuses on now responsible fatherhood, healthy marriage,
Yeah.
strengthening families, which is a ages and stages developmental type of curriculum for fathers raising children. We also have male health and wellness and reproductive care. We provide legal
Oh,
services, and we have a therapist that helps them to walk through maybe some of the trauma that they've endured. But the cohorts are, something that most men didn't expect.
Right.
but they absolutely love it once they get involved and begin to work through some of their issues.
I believe that. So how do y'all advertise for this? I mean, obviously it's a local program since
Right.
it's one on, it's face to face.
Right.
How do y'all advertise for this or where do you advertise for it?
Right. So, as a not for profit, you have limited resources. And so we
Yes.
have to be creative with our
Yeah.
marketing. So you see our logo behind me. We put our
Yeah.
logo on everything and
Yeah.
we attend lots of resource fairs within the community. We go to events and we have tables and we give things away. However, our word of mouth has been the most successful form of recruitment that we have. Like
Wow.
73% or so of our participants come via word of mouth. They have a brother, uncle, dad that attended the program, and they may run into some issues and they'll be advised to come, or mothers and grandmothers too
Yeah.
are an excellent resource. And
Yes.
we use the radio, and so they might hear a commercial on the radio or see a billboard on like the bus shelters.
Yeah.
And we have advertising inside the bus or the Metro Link, as it's called here. And so, we just try to make sure we have great partnerships as well. So we have like
Yeah.
14 partners, and we'll go and do presentations to practitioners, and
Sure.
you call us, we're coming.
That's awesome. I think that's great. One of the
Yeah.
things that I read through the information that on your website and different things, it said help for fathers, hope for families. Why do you think it works like that?
Well, research shows that a lot of the social ills that our community faces is due to lack of fathers being in the home. And it runs the gamut. It doesn't matter if it's urban, suburban,
Right.
rural. If a father isn't in the home, children are, 20 times more likely to end up in prison or have behavioral issues, 10 times more likely to get involved with alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
They're 9 times more likely to end up in juvenile detention centers. So, fathers being within the home or strong role models within the communities help children to steer the right way.
Right.
Even if you have children of your own, you could tell your kid like 3 times, hey, go pick up the toys. Hey, go
Right.
pick up the toys. Dad comes, pick up the toys. It's
Yes.
like done, like they're moving.
Yes.
So it's just a difference in the way that fathers parent that hold children accountable in a different way than moms can sometimes. And then, dads are going to scare off those, bad friends
Yeah.
or, those bad boyfriends that might try to come into the picture because
Right.
just their presence, is
Yeah.
sometimes enough. And so, we just begin to realize that there's so many things out here that are providing services to children and, moms or emergency
Right.
services, but who's really trying to assist fathers to understand their walk as a parent?
Yeah. That's good. And that's so
Mhm.
needed right now. So
Absolutely.
have you, I'm sure you've been in this so long. Have you heard some incredible transformation stories and seen some men? I mean, you probably have hundreds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's so, they participate for 6 weeks, but then
Yeah.
they have an entire year where they follow up.
Wow.
And the transformation that you see in them, because when they come, a lot of our guys are depressed.
Yeah.
They're suffering in silence. They don't have friends. They don't have anyone to talk to. And so not only are they feeling bad on the inside and within their mindset, they also kind of don't take care of their exterior. So, you get the hair that's grown out or the
Right.
beard that's kind of bushy, and they kind of look like they've just walked out of the wilderness sometimes.
Yeah.
Once they've been here for a while, they begin to open up. But one guy in particular, I was just so impressed with him. He was pretty young and he had dropped out of school and after his junior year, I believe. So it's like,
Oh,
you only
wow.
had your senior year. Why would you drop
Yeah.
out? But he got into some legal issues and he was a teen father. And so he had one child. But he became incarcerated, unfortunately, for some poor decisions he made as a teenager. But when he got out, he had heard about the program, and he said he had heard about it 4 years before he actually came.
Wow.
But when he came, he said his saying was, "I'm open. I'm being open. I'm practicing being open." And he went to the high set class. And sometimes when people get a job, they'll just forget about that. They'll go for the
Right.
money, which, we understand you have responsibilities as an adult,
Right.
but he stuck with it. He had like two sections of the GED that he wasn't strong in. He stuck with it. He passed and got his GED. He also, at the same time, was doing a CDL training so he could get his
Wow.
license.
Okay.
And so now he has that CDL license. He has visitation with his son, and
Oh my
he's like
goodness.
a whole different guy. He came in kind of like, just not knowing how things were going to go and trusting the process, and it really worked out for him really well. And so now he's earning enough to take care of himself and his child, and he's on his way. He doesn't do over the road, which he can, but he's
Yeah.
decided to be a local driver so that he could be with his son and get as much time in as he
That's
possibly can. And
awesome.
yeah, it's just great. He's, in his late 20s now, and it's just
Yeah.
great to see that he was able to turn his life around.
That's so amazing. Sometimes all we need is to know that somebody believes in us, even just one person, and that makes all the difference in the world. So I
Yeah,
love this. I think it's great. You
yeah,
mentioned mothers and grandmothers earlier, but I know that y'all support families whose
right.
dads are going through this. How do y'all support them?
Right. So we actually have four programs, and we try to make sure that we can address the entire family. And so our
Right.
family formation has a parallel class that is offered for moms. Our
Oh,
moms
wow.
come for 6 weeks as well, and they get the same curriculum, but of course, there's it's called motherhood.
Yeah.
We also have a youth mentoring program where we interact with youth while they're in high school, middle school, and if they're in DYS custody, which is Division of Youth Services or juvenile detention.
Mhm.
And then once the summer comes, we have a summer youth jobs program that helps them to get their first job through the summer and provide one-on-one mentoring so that they can be responsible with that money they're making.
Yeah.
And then we also have employment mentoring that we offer. It's like an economic stability type course that's 4 weeks. And of course, Father's Wrap. So we utilize whichever gateway we have to into the family. And of
Sure.
course, we would love for the youth, the mom and the dad to all
Yeah.
participate because everyone's getting good information about how to communicate, how to compromise, how to, make great decisions, how to make financial decisions that benefit, themselves and their family. So we use one individual as the gateway into the entire family and provide services to them. Like sometimes, you just have an accident or something comes up where you might miss a utility payment or something like that. And so we're here to assist them in those emergency times as well.
That is amazing. I love that. This is so good. I wish this was available in a lot more places. Are y'all planning to expand it all, or is it going to stay kind of where you are?
We definitely have plans for expansion. We just want to make sure that it is planned growth. We don't want to
Right.
jump out and do something and then it's not done in a spirit of excellence.
Right.
So right now we actually have four locations within St. Louis, Missouri,
Oh,
and
wow.
Illinois. But we would definitely like to take a regional approach and
Yeah.
have another facility that we offer west of St. Louis. But we also want to lend our expertise to practitioners around the country that are interested in doing this type of work or who already do this work and may want to expand to provide more services to the
Sure.
families that they're currently working with.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I love that y'all want to do that with the spirit of excellence. I understand, not just wanting to let it go and let whoever, do it. So, because what y'all are doing is excellent.
Thank
Definitely.
you. Thank you.
What would you tell a father who has not been involved in their child's life, but they want to, they feel just regret and, they know they haven't made the best choices. How can you encourage a dad right now in that
Right. We would
position?
tell them to prepare now.
Yeah,
Even though they're not seeing their children on a regular basis, that child at some point is going to show up in their life.
yeah,
And they have to be ready to provide what it is that child needs when they show up.
yeah.
It's similar to like even parents who raise their children. Your children go off to college, and what do? They come
Right.
back.
That's
So
right.
they will show up and they have questions. They want to know who you are. They want to know who they look like and
Yeah,
whose mannerisms they have, where they get these fingers from. And, they're going to just look for you. And so
yeah,
we tell them, make sure you have a place to live. Make sure that, maybe you write letters to your child at whatever stage they are in. Tell them about how you were at that age because
yeah.
they're going to want to know their history and who they come from. And so,
Sure.
we just try to make sure that they have everything they need for the hard conversation when it comes up.
Yeah. That's very good. So
Mhm.
I know when a lot of these guys probably come in, like you talked about that young man, some of them are probably a lot in survival mode, just kind of
Yes.
getting by. What are some of the biggest challenges they face when they walk in the door?
Well, one of the largest is child support and not having a right sized order. You may have a gentleman who may have had a great job, but lost the job, may have been injured, and just not able to earn at that same level. And so he's just really not able to afford the amount. He contributes, but he's not able
Right.
to contribute at that level. Or you may have a father who wasn't aware that he had this child, and so his
Yeah.
name's not even on the birth certificate. And so technically, he has to start from square one with going to court and even getting his name added to the birth certificate so that he could be acknowledged as the father, which
Right.
takes getting a paternity test and really sticking with the process as it moves through court to make sure that he is recognized as the father. And those types of things take quite some time,
Right.
and you have to have the agreement of the mom.
Yeah.
And sometimes moms aren't in agreement with that because, they've moved on with their life or they kept it a secret, for their own reasons. But, through mediation, through conversation, we have definitely seen the needle move in those instances.
I bet. How can people support what you're doing? Do y'all have a place for donations online? Do you do fundraisers? Like, how can we help and support your nonprofit?
We do. We actually have 6 fundraisers a year.
Oh, wow.
And on our website, it's fathersupportcenter.org. We have contact us or donate now buttons throughout the website. But like tonight, we're celebrating our Toast to Fathers, which is our annual dinner that we do each year. And it's just to recognize our Father of the Year, as well
Wow.
as one of our board members that has done extraordinary work with serving with the organization. We also, at the end of the year, do an annual appeal. We have tax credits that people can purchase, and they can, earn a benefit of
Oh,
having that tax credit as they donate. But all of our funding is generated through grants and or individuals
okay.
who care about the community and want to give to the work. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's awesome. So what's your favorite thing about what you're doing?
I think that my favorite thing is that we do it at a level of excellence.
Mhm.
We could have just done this work and, trucked along and been fine, but we also sought out the opportunity to gain accreditation,
Right.
which puts in place a level of checks and balances that, universities have to adhere to. And so,
Right.
just that training and doing things on the up and up has helped us to provide the most quality services that we can within this industry. We're one of the only fatherhood organizations in the country that has
Wow.
gained accreditation through the Council on Accreditation. And so it just helps us keep things on a level of excellence that, we strive to, because our families deserve that. And so I think I'm most proud of having that level of consistency with our
Sure.
service provision. Participants know they can come here and they can speak with someone as soon as they come through the doors. There's
Yeah.
always going to be that opportunity to share and or get resources that actually lead to employment, or that lead to housing, or lead
Right.
to food security that, we all need.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, you can tell your heart is definitely in it and that you are loving what you are doing. It's
I
fun to see.
absolutely do. And I work
Yeah.
with some amazing people. I do not
Yes.
do this by myself.
Right. I'm
No
sure.
way. There's
Yeah.
about 45 staff.
Oh, wow.
We have about 29 board members that
Oh, my
all
goodness.
contribute to making, things run smoothly and provide
Yeah.
governance and, just advice that we need to make sure that we are sound in our
Right.
practices.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you want to tell me about?
Well, I guess just that, fathers love their children.
Yes.
And, we have to keep in mind that there's not just one way to raise a child, and there's not one parent that, we should lean toward as it relates to what a child actually needs in their life. The organization has been able to, in the past year, serve over 1,000 individuals who have come through one of our programs.
Wow.
We have about a 95% rate of reported improved co-parenting relationships.
Wow.
We also have 75% of our participants that have stated that it has improved their ability to raise their children. The work that we've done with the reentry community has yielded a 3% recidivism rate for federal offenders and a 1% recidivism rate for
Wow.
our state offenders. And so we know that if you provide this population with services in an unbiased manner, it actually will help them to become better and to do well in life.
Sure.
And so I think that you shouldn't count anyone out. No matter what their past has been, their future is spotless, and we should approach people with that type of grace and care as we do this work.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to share about the organization, and I'm hopeful
Yes.
that something I've said will help someone, maybe to address some things that maybe they're struggling with.
I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Bye.